Chalet, Heroic. What do we get? What do we get, Heroic? What are you going to treat us to? Is it going to be yesterday Heroic that were heroes? Is it going to be the first day Heroic that was zeros? Is it going to be the earliest, which to be honest was the most disappointing? Okay, maybe that's a little bit harsh. It was 2 losses, but you couldn't have been closer to pulling points than they were on the first day, Heroic.
No, that's for sure. I mean, if you are 7-5, it means you are right up there, just not able to quite close it out in the end there. And it definitely has cost them, because if they were able to only put one of those into a victory, it could have been a situation now where all they needed to do was just get that win, and they would be good. But now they need to wait for other results to come through. They need to make sure that they do everything they can as well, because anything less than 3 points and it's going to be over for them. Anything more than 1 point, or anything more than 0 points rather for TSM, and it's also going to be over. It's not ideal for them, but you know, you roll with the punches.
Yeah, I would describe that as not ideal. Starting on their defense here, the ban of Pulse is probably the one that draws the most attention out of this sort of setup. Fair enough, it's not the most common one removed. Twitch is a little bit surprising as well, but the Pulse, the limitation there is generally against Uno. He's been a fantastic Pulse player. He's been able to lead the team from a sort of core line position. Look at that for a graphic.
See, this one is still quite easy to grasp onto. Now it's going to get more bunkers into the next match.
Yeah, we saw Sprobrian Wrath working on some.
So how do we make this in a pop-up? How
do we make this in a pop-up? You use not only 1 screen, but maybe 3.
Yeah, you need like 4 or 5 different.
And I think you need like Fresh to show up on the co-stream and explain everything and break it down with like he does on a telestrator.
With a cameo, you know.
Yeah, he is a fan of them. All right, let's open this up, Heroic, and let's see what the drive. And statistically, Chalet inside league play often sees attackers have themselves in a good stead. But I think over this tournament, and I would have to go back and double check, but
I'm pulling up.
Cool, thank you very much.
No worries.
I think we've generally seen a bit more balanced. The defenders maybe having some more sway in certain spots.
I'm going to go for a quick refresh, because
double check.
That doesn't seem right, all right? There we go, 42% defensive win rate.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot closer. I think generally then you'll see some of these games, some of these rounds obviously are going to play against the data, but we'll see if that's something that Sandbox can lean into here. Now, there is one condition. Sometimes when everything is put against the door and it's already been closed and locked and thrown against it, well, you have nothing else to do but just enjoy your game of Siege. Chile won't. June, with the hop out, gets the opening kill, hops his way back in, suffers massively almost as he gets a lot of damage done by Arakaze spraying through, the soft on the other side. But he's inside, tucked in the corner of Library, and that's going to force a bit of droning.
Yeah, they're going to have to make sure that they isolate that player now. Just take him out, and that's exactly what to do. Arakaze will be able to shut down June. He's not going to be able to move any further than that. But this is also going to be quite problematic. The Library, now is suddenly a bit more vulnerable. If it wasn't for Grizzly trying to retake it, you just heard a bit of a hop, but it is going to be the rappel up to the balcony. He's going to have these Keeper barriers to provide himself some support. He's trying to go for some of these heads, but not quite connecting. Flashbangs being tossed in, certainly followed by grenades shortly after. At least normally that's the case. So he drops down from the mezzanines to relocate himself.
It's perfectly played there. He knew how much pressure was coming and he knew that there was going to be a danger. This is usually when you'd maybe see a bit of a play potentially around a Pulse underneath, calling a read and making that difficult terrain. But now suddenly Sandbox has the confidence to sway in to that area, to that zone there. Just getting the last checks, doing the last bits of balances and pre-firing a couple of angles, but 2 minutes, control over the top, FD to break a shield by hopping over the top of it. And suddenly they've got the start of their breakdown towards the side. 50 seconds, 1 loose player inside the dining area towards kitchen, and 1 loose all the way underneath. If they can try and get a read on this, it might sound a bit dangerous.
A player in that basement, which is of course going to be Grizzly, has a huge role to play here. The opportunity to, well, shut down the staircase first of all, but also come back if they do decide to go for that bar take. And it wouldn't be out of question for Sandbox to just go for that drop, as Good Boy does find a kill onto Uno. That is going to be an opening that they need. Grizzly shut down as well. Sandbox looking to find his first round to go their way.
Mello and Benja now, all that's left to try and hold on to this first round. Mello's going for the rotate to the top. They're going to see if they can maybe retake and do some damage, and now it's just Mello trying to find where the kit has gone. Do they know? They seem to be repositioning themselves somewhere safe. There's the reveal of the player. There's the spray down. The connection is all Sandbox, as is the first round. And with that, they've already equaled what they achieved the last time they played against Heroic.
They'll be happy with that, but they know there is still a lot more to do. They prefer to not leave on a, you know, no-win kind of group stage as well, right? You want to at least get a win out, or at least get some points on the board when you leave the major stage. For now, they have none. But they got that first round, looked quite well, managed to take library control, then take games, make sure the supply line was going to be cleared out. And after that, you can go for that plant. So that's exactly what they did. As mentioned before, 42% is defense-sided on said map. If we break that down a little bit more, barring gaming, only 37% of the time is being won by those defenders. Over 19 times that it had been played. Just a slightly better win percentage on this top floor bedroom that we're headed to next.
Now, the first kill was the only kill that Heroic were able to lock in. It came of a jump out, and since then, they sort of lost a bit of control. All right, it's the first round. It's Chalet. As I said, you sort of try and piece together things, but the attackers do have a bit of preference. They've just got to try and find some pace and respond to a Sandbox team that had a strong togetherness. It's worth noting, yesterday's second game, if we talk about Sandbox's second performances of a day being better, they got themselves into a 5 versus 1 situation against Liquid, the team that sits pretty and confirmed at the top of the group. Then things went away from them. Generally on the second half, they could not find another round, and Liquid tied every other remaining round in a row. So, unfortunately, APAC, it's still a moment where you can never truly hold your breath.
Sense is being brought here by Sandbox. Up on the top floor is not usually the combination you see, but also the Ying on the board. So, we're trying to figure out how they will fit them into the lineup here. Might be a quick bunch of aggression coming through with Candelas and, of course, the light screens that Sense brings. The Nitro deals little amount of damage to Static, nothing to worry about. The Claymore, though, will find the entry kill, but it's instantly Heroic to strike back with 3.
Yeah, look at that. As a run out and a jump out, they breached and broke every single which way, both out the double windows. They suffered on the bad end of a Claymore, sure, but being able to cement the other 3 kills, putting the kit cold, it's the cost they wanted to pay. Everybody out the building, let's get the drop on them, and then drop back in. I guess technically it's the growth of the idea. They found success with the single jump out last round, so why not try and go all in on the concept? June just sees the side of a player, but does not catch any of the bullets to connect. Arakaze gets that quick response. MV Taylor on the far end is going to see if he can maybe try and draw some pressure. They've still got the vertical control. There's one playing on the Solarium stairs. The ping on that player instantly pushes them out of the way. There's no kit in pocket, but without the verticality, you can't really safely plant anyway.
They also need to go up towards that top floor, Emmy. It is not going to be the kitchen. Yes, there is players around it, but it is the master bedroom eventually, and that office that kit needs to go down on. So this will most likely become a bit of a frag match if Sandbox still wants to have an opportunity of winning it. Benji's gone all the way down to the basement, though, has the opportunity, well, no longer to use at C4, so it's becoming something to use with the shotgun, possibly if they do decide to get up on that top floor. Grizzly takes down Arakaze. Envy shuts down the flank in the back from Benja. Trying to use his Candelas to provide himself a bit of an extra opportunity because it is a 1v2. It is quite winnable, and 30 seconds is still plenty of time to try and get this happening.
It's just trying to isolate where the fight is. One more Candela. 2 smoke canisters in pocket as well. He's sort of covering his own movement, hoping they lean into it. There's one tucked on the piano that he doesn't quite see, though, and Grizzly. We described him as reliable earlier. Still a fair description. Gets the couple of kills to sweep that round up and round us up 1 apiece.
Equalizes that score. Candelas not bouncing back far enough to actually get a bit of a flashbang down onto the player and piano as well. And due to that, able to pick up that kill. Kitchen dining up next. Heroic continuing their rotation, not opting to go back to games. You know, bringing out the Warden though. And now I'm thinking, maybe Sandbox, you know, they were droning out, so quite a heavy hold down onto that first floor near the kitchen. Were they maybe thinking about taking that under control with Sense? Because you did see the light screens to be used near West Main, seeing if they could have actually gone for a bit of an opportunity there, go for a jump in. It's far-fetched, but it could be. Hence, they bring the Warden out, possibly, you know? They use Ying, they use Sense. Warden can use those glasses for both those abilities. Not that either is being brought right now, but you do not know that as a defender.
All right, Sandbox. Let's see what's next, I guess. Are you going to have a little bit more patience with the jump out? If anything, it's fair to question, you know, why are you not going to bring this? Why are you going to bring that? Why don't we try and get in the building first without dying? Yeah, or losing somebody, I think might be an immediate concern as before, as they saw it was a game of growth from Heroic, and yeah, sure, the likelihood for most teams isn't to try and double and then triple down on it, but it still, for me, shows the gesture of caution. There has to be a growth of awareness of how you play against a team, and that is one of those factors you always have to consider. The loose threads of Heroic that are whipping about wildly.
Ooh, if they only have a drone instead of West Main, that could have been a free kill, but now it is a player, it is Uno, that has been sitting really close to that window, that just received a couple of rounds. Now, Arkazi's not actually trying to push through that. Grizzly, though, has a bit of a vertical angle onto the trophy window. I believe there is a serial laser gate on there, so no direct jump through from any of the players off Sandbox. Have to use some utility. If he does not have any flashbangs, needs to use a breaching charge if he wants to go for it. I believe that means that he is going for a bit of a rotation.
And you see there, even with the movement by it, Grizzly didn't take a shot. He didn't want to give the game away. As you said, they're not just going to throw themselves for an Aruna gate most of the time, so there's no point revealing that you're watching it anyway. Hold on, hold off, and hold steady. Henry Taylor's gone for the rotate. A minute 30 now, and they're still setting up and prepping for the jump outs. They're giving themselves a bit of an idea and a bit of width here as the pressure comes across towards the site itself. Still against the windows, and you've still got to do this. The crack on the verticality, you've got to clear yourself the route across the kitchen or route across the dining, but MV Taylor, he's going to try and find the sliver of the fight against Grizzly.
It is going to be a couple of pixels that he had for safety. Does not find it. Grizzly finds Envy. That's going to be the opener. That is going to be quite painful as well. And of course, the suppressors, they don't give away tracers, so when he fired through before, you know, you don't actually know where those shots are going.
The grenade just a bit undercooked to get the direct kill, but Doom does find the direct line through onto Static. The kit goes cold. Arakaze caught the player in the corner, just gets the lock in on the rest of it, but look at this. Two players instantly trying to set themselves up. Grizzly's on one end, there's one close to his left. They're able to dig them out. Now Grizzly's on the move, I think, towards Bathroom, and Charles just going to hold it off. No, pulls back a step. But look at the timer, 25 seconds. They've still got to try and route themselves towards the site itself. Grizzly's going to see if he can waste some time here. There's the reveal on one. There's the look for the second. He doesn't quite win it out, but he definitely does enough to waste the time and the health. Arakaze, two players left to find. No kit in pocket, 10 seconds. He's just got to try and take the drop on the hatch and maybe pick a fight, as it's all revealed on a default at this point this round. Well, it's a heroic one.
Thought it was going to be clear on that top floor there. You saw it. They stopped droning out, even though the last player was still hidden in that bathtub, waiting for the moment to strike. Finds one kill, wastes a bunch more time, drops that diffuser. And on the back of that, really taking out any fighting chance that Sandbox might have had in that round on the dying seconds. Back to Bar and Gaming we go. As mentioned before, one of the lowest site win percentages for defenders. But it doesn't seem like Heroic wants to be going for the basement, which is one quite often. So what do they do to find... Oh, did they head to the basement? No, okay, I was going to say for a second, like, stop Benji out there.
Just go on and explore.
Let's go on and explore. Just put down some utility there to slow them down if they do decide to come from the basement, of course. Open up Snowmobile. You sometimes see it go up those stairs right into the bar. It's one of the executes, and they'd like to pull against Europe when Chalet just pulled back during the Six Invitational. I believe that was in Paris, and it worked every single time.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Sandbox, their first round is starting to feel a little bit more like a memory, but your memory is your strongest when you're in a place you recall it, and this is that place. We find ourselves back towards the site that they're able to take, and it opened in generally the worst way of losing somebody to a jump out. And there's still these adaptations and changes that might come round, and attention being paid with the Nomad, with the air jabs. no claymores this time around. I think they're maybe expecting the fight and going to just try and drive the fight back into them. Pockets full of grenades and flashes. Will it be something a little bit short and sharp here on this? Two people. Benja on one of them, Mellow on the other, waiting for somebody to drift close to the balcony.
Two guys from the Sandbox team pushing up. Actually, three from the windows on the back solarium. Maybe wanted to go for a bit of an entry here. Opening up the windows as well. Arkazi with the caber. Waiting for the drones to call out. It is going to be all clear. Before that, they will not be entering. Charlie is already waiting down below, I believe, in Trophy. Slowly but steadily, they are taking control of that map, but it seems like the top floor has that priority. And of course, it is going to be games. You do need to have that top floor under control, but mainly library. And that's what they still need to be fighting towards. We have a player hiding, Benja, right behind the half wall. If this doesn't get droned out properly by Static, which it does, he should be picked up. But now he needs to go forward or run out all the way through that window. He knew it was going to be clear. Well done by Benja. Phone calls come through, but no punishment as of yet. And that means we stay in a 5-on-5, at least for now.
The calls continue to rain and echo out as they just sort of sat for a second. Sandbox. They're trying to apply the pressure here. They don't know they're being watched though. Benja swings onto one, has the angles and idea of swinging onto the next, but there wasn't anyone on piano to try and get the follow-up, so pulls back. Mellow, he's still working slightly in tandem. There's a bit of isolation here. He doesn't want to cross that window that's just looking across the front of the blue stairs, so instead sits, waits. Static, if he can get around the back of this, he should be able to get a free pick, but it depends. How aware are they? There's a bit of movement. Not at all. It's the swing. Benja, he takes care of Static, and oh, he almost gets the next, but there's Shyle from piano.
Gets teamed up on, and that's exactly what Sandbox needed to do to remove Benja from the equation here. But again, losing that second body, that is going to be quite painful. The first one, you know, we can forgive, but you knew that he was going to be out on that balcony after that. This good boy just got a good read there. Tosses a grenade down, but not quite through the door it needed to be at. I was trying to go aggressive, but all the way from the back of the piano is Joom that finds good boy. Charles trying to respond though, finds one, doesn't connect to Joom, leaves it only up to MV Taylor.
Now he's taking on the damage, taking on the fire, and taking the fight right into the corner towards the second of the shield. They know exactly where he is, and with 10 seconds, they know that they can pull back, peel away from the fight itself, set themselves up the 2 versus 1. They're either side of him, they swing in. Uno puts the third round down in a row for Heroic here. They know they mean business in this game. They know business needs to be meant. And they're not taking any opportunities for failure.
3-1 Kearney does on that defense, and that is better than the average we've had so far during the Jönköping Major. And they want to get some more rounds out. 5-1, that's what they're aiming for. They just want to end this one as quickly as they possibly can. Do what they need to do. But the timeout has been called by Sandbox. And that means that they are not ready to give up yet, even though they have nothing left to play for, but just to get a win or to just get points. They're taking this seriously, as they should, as we're used to see from them. Because something isn't connecting quite well, and they need to find a way to stop that from happening. And as it ticks down slowly but steadily, Heroic is 4 rounds away from doing what they need to do to potentially qualify.
Do you want to know what the current score is on the other game?
I was actually going to say, like, it would have been great if we would have had like a live.
You want to know?
I do want to know.
If you don't want to know, people in chat, cover your ears. 3, 2, 1, 2, 1 to TSM. TSM are up 2-1 against Liquid currently. If you missed all the spiel, TSM just have to get to OT.
And it's done, right?
They can lose the game, they just have to get to OT. They get 6 rounds. Heroic has to win, TSM has to lose for Heroic to escape groups. And ANEU, this is your moment. But also this is your moment to cheer for either LATAM or APAC respectively.
Yeah, depending on which other team you want to make it through.
I guess this is a moment where after the Berlin finals where EU and LATAM had some very fun chants back and forth. There was a lot of energy in that room. EU's probably going back like, hey Latin America. Hey, forget about Berlin. It would be real cool.
We take back all those chants.
We take back all those chants. It would be real cool if you could just
in that game for us.
TSM. Thank you. Either way, here's the spray round, and Heroic still need to do the business. Attack time out there from Sandbox. They've had a conversation. You know, you should be pulling more attacks on this. As I said, it's not that it's entirely away from the preference. A balanced half is still somewhat familiar in some of the showdowns we've had at Chalet at this major. However, more and more into Heroic's favor, and you really do favor them for the rest of this map.
We've already broken traditions during this major with M&M being, well, not going through, you know. Jacob said they would, you know. He already congratulated them, actually cursed them. As Benja somehow lives, is going to go aggressive, but loses his life. Good boy. Wins out in the gunfight, doesn't even take a single point of damage, and that is a very welcome entry in the side of Sandbox.
Now, Sandbox, they've not really had an entry for a while, and the last time, I think they did, actually, they lost 3 people immediately afterwards. So this is the best they've done. For a period of time, the attack timeout has at least given them some semblance of control. They missed the sharpness that they had in the round that they won, and they got themselves a little bit cautious and frequently very low on time when push came to shove. Talking of Heroic, they're being shoved slightly out of position. The blinds go deep all the way through onto the site to allow this. Good boy swings in, Childs inside the bathroom. They're pushing all the way across. Uno gets caught out in the side. Everyone else is below it. Joom rotated off out via piano, but comes back in to see if he can try and at least stop it entirely falling away from them.
They know someone's out there. The pings were coming through. He needs to go aggressive. A drone rolls through. He misses the pre-fire. Charles lends it, brings it to a 5v2. This might be a second round for Sandbox, but Mello has something else to say about it. Gets the first, but they need to find 4 more to get away Grizzly as the plant's going down soon. 45 seconds will be on the clock, but Grizzlies fights back. It's not a kill to come through, but in favor of Sandbox, meaning it's a 1v3 clutch and now needs to happen with 40 seconds still left on the clock. It's gonna be a very difficult round here for Grizzly.
Here, Sandbox, they took exactly the territory they needed in Grizzly. Takes 1 more body off, but 2 more to get through. Good boy's on a triple kill himself. He's having a bit of a storm of a round. Static, he's tucked around on the corner. They're pre-firing the angle. They know exactly where he is. 20 seconds. The man is right below you. Oh, he almost got it, but Static has the connection in time. Sandbox, they find their second round, their first and 4. 1 more to see if they can pull themselves level.
Again, as you mentioned, they took exactly what they needed to take. Slurm, Master, boom, done. Go for that plant. We have those skills. We have the man advantage. We do not need to worry about anything else. That's kind of what you want to see, right? You bring it back to basics if you're struggling to get these rounds on attack. Because we've seen it happen. Black Dragons, like massive example. They've made it out to playoffs. You know what they do in their attack? They grab the room adjacent to the site. They grab the site. That's it. They plan. Done. Win the round. It's a bit more difficult than that, but that's the basics of it.
I mean, they make it look.
They make it look.
They make it look good. They make it look smooth. And I think that's exactly right. Sandbox, they took that approach. Instead of trying to control the whole map, they know Heroic like to play the whole map. Just take what you need. They're probably going to be stretched out. They're probably going to be a bit wide. You only have to have the pocket of space to get the kit down in the coverage to make it happen safely. And then theoretically, 45 seconds later, you win the round.
I mean, you see it, right? Joom and Benja, they're always on the opposite side of the map. They're just roaming around, trying to see if they can maybe pop up and getting killed. You saw it earlier with Benja hiding behind the half wall, then running out towards the balcony, playing that half a wall, and then just getting 2 kills on the back of it. Like that's what they like to do. If you do not lean into that, if you hit that side directly, you basically render Benja and Joom somewhat useless. Like, yes, they can still come back. Yes, they can still use them for the retake, but they don't have that early sharpness, the early aggression and effectiveness that helps Heroic win rounds.
A little bit of a patient approach here once again. They're getting the pings in the read on the players buried inside the kitchen and above. It's a top-down hold. You have to clear the space vertically if you want to try and take it below. And that's what Heroic's going to see if they can hold on to. It doesn't feel, I would say, a more reserved hold, but it definitely feels a little bit more centered this time. Inside and above and below the site itself, they've got a lot more of a concerted effort around the site. Here it is, the pressure on the door just misses the connection, pulls back away from the C4 coverage from Solarium Stairs, and the second grenade is tempted to roll out off to the opposite side. Bit of a self-flash as the pressure comes onto the bathroom window, and instantly gets put back up. It's dangerous because you expect a fight to come through from the opposite end, but tucked in the bath and hiding out is Grizzlies. Not needed as good boy gets dropped off first. Benja tucks himself further and further away, but Static is still able to dig him out of the close corner.
Now they're still aware of the fact that there is a player in that bathroom. Flashbangs are coming in right into the bathtub. Static is joining together with Shao. That should be a free kill. They get it as well. And that is going to be a massive part of taking that top floor under control. Joom's still hiding though in the office, but he has a very large gun, so if he is looking towards Piano, that is going to be sticking out. That is going to be able to be spotted by the Sandbox players. He needs to be careful as he's playing in this corner, because drones shortly will come around the corner. However, if Sandbox is deciding to not take it further, like up on top, up vertically, but decide to go for the side directly, Joom, he needs to go for that retake at some point.
He's looking for the right fight, and he finds the first, swings into the second through the bed, but he cannot quite get the proper connection. They've dropped behind. There is another player pushing from the bathroom, but he doesn't get there in time to stop it. He's managed to isolate 3 1 versus 1s. Can he get the 4th? It's Joom!
With a quad kill all from the same room, and you saw Sandbox, they were trying to coordinate, they were trying to swing at the same time, but Joom just slipping just past the pickup there before he did too much damage. And finds them 4. Brings Heroic to 4.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, it's me. The update from the other game.
Okay, yes. I was just going to say, where is this going?
It's me calling.
Okay. I'm picking
Cover your ears if you don't want to know. Bloop, 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 bloop.
Attackers need to
Liquid are now 3-2 ahead.
Okay, so that one is very back and forth as well. Which is good for...
good for Heroic.
Heroic to some extent. Not if it goes all the way towards overtime, but... You know, if it would have been like 5-1 right now, there would have been a lot more worries. Well, they wouldn't know, but for the fans back at home.
Okay, that was the update.
That was the update.
This is all coming lovingly and wonderfully by Easy the Observer. He's got me a direct feed, a direct hookup towards knowing scores.
10 seconds remaining.
You mean the wonderful communication app we use?
No, we got a pigeon.
Oh, you got a pigeon?
Yeah, it flies
Is
back
that
and
why
forth.
it's flying in and out?
Yeah, that's the pigeon. It's Medics. Who is a pigeon? Benjamaster. Now he's on the attack. Can he try and do some of the work that he did earlier on? When we had Heroic struggle earlier on in the day, it was actually not the worst in the opening few rounds on their attack. They were driving in. They just couldn't find the solid landing to the start of an aggressive round. There's an aggressive round directly through onto the door. This will usually get opened up without too much pressure, but the smoke and the ideas behind it, they wanted to just force utility. They wanted people to try and rotate back around. There's also a man with special spectacles that can see right through that. So they have seen right through that. They haven't fallen for the ploy. It was a bait. They hoped a C4 or something would get tossed, maybe some smokes. You could see that based on the fact that as soon as they threw them, they were already running away.
It's kind of the thing, right? Like, create a bit of panic, let everybody come back towards the side because you let them think it's going to be an instant execute. Not the case. But it does mean you have to worry less about the roamers because, you know what? They've all fallen back a floor or they're going back to site. So Heroic have a bit of an easier time now taking that control they want up on the top and middle floor. Grenades are coming through. It's not going to be finding anything. Well, my disc will catch it. Oh, actually in range of that shield. Slightly misplaced on the my disc there. That's a piece of utility, even though they probably did not expect to get that.
Yeah, just tucked a little bit too close there, probably on the reach. The second one will get caught as well, but there's no shield to destroy. Good boy. He's just going to have to play this angle a little bit aggressively, but as I said, they've generally pulled off. You can see Grizzly's getting a rotate back round to that side, and Emmy Taylor with this far end still in lock is able to at least cause some pressure and presence. About 1:10 left, and Heroic seems to be setting themselves up for a take around Fireplace, around and down Blue as well, is where the bodies are getting an idea, but without an interaction, ooh, there's a catch, the breach and the break. They don't quite get the full kill there with the C4.
It's a C4 that was placed on the actual hatch itself. You don't see any of the flooring destroyed there, so that's an interesting one. Still gets opened up though. Didn't destroy the exothermic or kill that thermite, and that means that there is going to be a bit of extra pressure, an extra opportunity to go for a drop. The smoke canisters still coming through. What do they have left to actually make this execute happen? I think it's just guns.
Well, the guns start to pop off. Uno, when the kick goes cold, Joom pushes right into Blue, and Benj is able to find Arakaze. Static does stop the run up Blue. Good boy with the rotation, gets a huge take onto Mello. Suddenly they have the body advantage and a cold kit outside that gets picked up and rotated by Grizzly. They're inside the site, tucked. They get the pop-up kill there. Joom is going to do his best to cover us. Grizzly goes for the stick. MV Taylor, he gets taken out on the swing. Joom, he pulled a quad in the last round. He's looking for another, and he finds it.
Joom against Sandbox is just another beast. If you haven't watched, yesterday he pulled an ace in round 1, then got a 4K in round 2. Still won the round because it was going to be that clutch situation. The diffuser was already down. There was no time anymore to get that counter diffuse going. And then pulled another 3K before finally someone managed to shut him down and before someone on his team managed to put up a kill as well. So that was against Sandbox. Now he's got 8 kills in 2 rounds as well. Basically giving Heroic an extra opportunity to find that round, because if he missed that first, the cover on the plant wasn't going to be there, and that would have been a shutdown. 5-2. 2 more rounds, Heroic, and you've done everything you need to do to get yourselves up on the spot where you need to be. Then you just need to hope that Liquid finishes the job for you.
When you say shutdown, I just think of not Dez, Tim.
Tim?
Shut down.
Shut down. My accent doesn't reach that.
No, neither does mine. Miss you boys. 5-2. Heroic.
5 seconds remaining.
I'm hearing a lot of shouting coming from the playing area.
I can inform you,
Okay, yes.
at least the last update I had was an even half.
Okay.
3 apiece.
So that is probably worth the shouting. Maybe it's the lead retaken.
Technically, they're halfway there. Oh. What was your guess? Lead retaken?
Is it? Okay, there we go. Oh, Joom in sight?
Static is taken, Joom's inside the site, and within 30 seconds, there's the pop of the E1D, so no one else can follow him. No one has followed him, though. He maybe wanted another engagement here. He's far away from having the kit. He's just going to cause problems, because suddenly Sandbox, where do you go? Joom, he's 15-5. He's got 2 quad kills over the past 2 rounds, and he's going to see if he can try and at least tack on to that. Technically, 9 kills in a row without dying at this point. He's waiting patiently with another E1D. The problem is that there's nobody directly to support him at this point, so nobody else can move. He's created a deadlock. Everybody is waiting for somebody to move. They know that there was a player around this position, so they can't drive back into sight, but they also know that, well, he's in sight. He can't go anywhere. He can't leave because he's surrounded.
I don't know why he keeps doing this. He did this in the previous game as well. It just gets a kill, runs into the side, and just sits there, right? It kind of creates this deadlock, as you mentioned, because the side is clear. You just cannot get to the side. That's kind of the issue. The rest of his team is not there.
It's like saving Private Joom.
Well, that's basically it, even though he is very capable of shooting back. The plant's going down in the meantime, though. Uno is putting it down on the ground. 45 seconds. Good Boy doesn't have an opportunity to cancel that as of yet. Now, it is going to be starting to count down, but Joom still in the middle of the side is going to be able to shut them down if they go for it.
There it is. Very well played there. The use of the barrier got him there a split second too late, so he couldn't stop the plant. And here, the fight comes around the corner. Benji gets the back of the head of MV Taylor, and Joom gets his 2nd for the round. I believe now his 10th in a row without dying. Shyle. I mean, I don't know if he really has the time to even get to the kid at this point, but he's not going to see it anyway. Benja tucks the corner. Heroic. They sit on map point 6-2.
So, yeah, I think the summary of that round is going to be Joom just chilling on the side. I mean, that's kind of what he did, right? He was waiting in Mudroom, waiting for a drone to come through. It's like, oh, there's only one person. Just go ham. Just do what you need to do. Vaults through, runs through, gets that kill. And then he doesn't move anymore out of the supply line.
He's got his supplies.
He gets supplies. 4 rounds to try and lock this out now. For Heroic. It doesn't matter if it's a 7-5, it doesn't matter if it's a 7-2. Literally, not at all. It depends on if TSM is going to be able to find a point against Liquid. That's the only thing that matters for Heroic besides them winning. And sometimes we get these updates. Now, last one we got is, if you don't want to hear it, cover your ears. TSM is currently in the lead, but just by a single round. So that still could go either way. That could literally go to 12 rounds before we find out if it is going to be overtime or if it's going to be a regulation loss.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Action phase starts. Is this the end of Sandbox? Are they leaving without any victories? NA, is it a minus 32 round differential at the end of it? It's definitely not something they hoped for. They hope for a better performance. 27. I think that's another round that just won there.
Oh, bit of a scrape and a scrap of damage to MV Taylor. It's Doom. Who else?
He's been having a go at Sandbox, not just now, but also yesterday. Doesn't actually get the opportunity to shut down Good Boy there. He's rotating through. Walls are getting opened up, but still a lot of damage done by Doom all the way from the piano. Good Boy now down up onto about 20 HP. Ben just shut down though by Static. It's a good start, but instantly punished for it.
There it is. The pickup on the back end. 2 players pretty damaged. They obviously lose the Blackbeard. It's 1 apiece, but the Blackbeard was playing a specific role, and to be honest, they're more than happy to get themselves involved in the fight and try and drive through as they start. Library gets a bit of coverage. Grizzly still close to the double window, waiting to see if he can maybe help force the clear on the top, but it's already been done. All 4 players have dropped and rooted their way back towards the site itself. They're watching patiently to try and punish anyone that might drift closer. There's pings on drones, and I'm not sure if they're trying to go for any retake up there on Solarium. They've just drifted up. They're about to find a fight.
And being Good Boy, of course, low on HP, cannot really afford to take a gunfight as Envy finds Doom. That is going to be a massive gunner off the board, one they do not have to worry about. But again, they also need to win 4 rounds in a row if they want to be making sure they leave with points here. Breaching charges are being used. They're preparing themselves to go for an execute soon. Heroic hoping to find 1 more kill at least on the Sandbox players before they do start to descend at the site. Good Boy has gone up. Shal will find a kill, but he's also down onto literally a single bullet of health now. As they wanted to go for a retake, they decide against it, falling back towards the site now.
Caught out, ready to rock and roll a grenade to somebody that isn't actually quite home. The players have otherwise tucked themselves underneath the site. They have 50 seconds. But that will very quickly slip away. There's only so much you can gather around here underneath, and it doesn't seem like they want to hand them anything. MV Taylor, still with a smoke canister in pocket, could try and at least slow down an approach from a side either side. Arakaze tucked as well, just close on the approach down. Remember when I said time ticks away quite quick? Well, we've now passed the 30-second mark, and we're barreling towards when you've just got to try and take the drop on the fight and see if you can get the kit stuck around it. Mello, he's on the lead in the hunt. Good Boy's watching the angle, waiting for this fight. They want to get a pre-fire and a tracer so they can lean back into it, tucked around the corner, waits for the movement, pre-fires the angle, gets the kill onto 1, gets returned. 2 versus 1, Grizzlies in sight, caught reloading. Sandbox, 3rd round.
Got himself stuck out there. The teammate went down just a second earlier, so the cover was not there to go for that reload. And that's 1 round by Sandbox of the 4 they need to bring this to OT and at least take a point back home towards 8 back north. But they need to find 3 more, and Snowmobile's the next one they'll have to. Again, the last time a plant was forced through, the cover came in, June with a 4K. Was it a decisive factor? Need to avoid that. Shut him down before he gets too dangerous. Doom is on his way to dropping 20. I'm not quite sure what the kill record is anymore.
It's like 25?
Yeah, something like that. So the way he reaches that, I think, is if we do go close towards 12 rounds and he keeps up the performance, or if we go to OT. But if we go OT, then Heroic has no opportunity anymore of qualifying themselves.
I mean, I'm eagerly anticipating the updates from Easy now at this point.
I guess what it is?
You can?
I think it's now 5-4 TSM.
10 seconds left.
I mean, it might be.
Might be.
I can say that it was at least... Cover your ears. Oh, wait, here's an update.
Okay.
Round not over yet. It was 5-3.
Okay, yeah.
So, it could be over this round, could be over the next or the next.
Yeah, that's it. I just heard something.
We just heard maybe
just heard something. I'm not sure if it is. If it is, we'll let you know, but the round at hand is going to be important as well. As the approach to the building starts here from Heroic. Looking to see if they can take control of that library and work themselves down towards Snowmobile.
If you don't want to know the result of the TSM game, cover your ears. 3, 2, 1. Commiserations, Heroic. TSM have done it. They only needed 6 rounds. The game is technically not over yet, but they will guarantee themselves a point, which guarantees themselves 2nd place. Heroic cannot past them, regardless of the win here. They don't know that yet. They'll only find that out when they finish this game, but the group is locked. Liquid are first seed, TSM a second, Heroic will be third, and Sandbox will stay fourth.
Luckily for Heroic, they qualified for the Six Invitational earlier, but that is not what they were here for. Yes, it was a nice extra, a lot of damage done to Human Uno. Good boy taking a bit of a fight right here. C4 Pops takes out Uno. It's going to be the first kill of that round. Static again, making sure that Sandbox is one up.
Well, Good Boy and Arakaze, they have a habit of taking bits of damage here and pulling away from the fight. Can they have a habit and change it and see if they can try and get another round tied on? The pull back over and the hop inside. June, who had a couple of huge rounds in a row and then got put out quite early on the previous one, is going to see if he can try and throw himself a little bit deeper into this. With the man disadvantage either way, and losing the hard breach means that your options are slightly more limited, but you can still do things like that. Takes care of Static on the supply line, cuts him in half, and almost sees the sliver of a second.
It's another player, and it seems like they are going for a bit of a retake up onto that first floor. Shal and Arakaze ready to go up these library stairs and maybe dig themselves a mudroom to see if they can go and provide themselves as a bit of a, surprise factor to that round. They have nothing to lose. They can play whatever they want. They just want to find themselves with a round win. Now, the side is actually games. I have mistaken myself earlier. They swapped off last second. But it does provide, that does explain why the supply line is so important for Sandbox to hold on to it.
Good Boy. Flickers of health, is holding onto an angle as explosions, cacophony around him. Misses the drop on the first, but catches the second and the third, technically. With Envy Taylor finding the end of it. There it is, Sandbox, 2 rounds in a row. The difference is now 2 rounds between the pair of them, 6-4. Sandbox. They creep closer to, well, at least a point from the tournament, something they weren't able to otherwise cement.
It's a small help to them, right? You don't want to leave on 0 points. Preferably, you don't want to lose on 0 wins either. But let's just start with that 1 point here for Sandbox. To be fair, Heroic, they have nothing left to play for, even though they don't know it themselves. Well, actually, they might have been able to hear it. I mean, you hear the cheers, and surely that is going to be like a bit of a demotivator if you realize what's going on. Might start going on in your head, like, what if that is TSM celebrating their qualification? But we'll put that aside. We had to snowmobile. This time for real. We set ourselves up. Last time we had an early breach followed up by some smoke grenades, which made them think that an execute was near. But now Heroic just took the rest of the map instead.
10 seconds to insertion.
Are we gonna see something similar to that, or is it actually going to be a full commit from Heroic to just go for it? They're still under the impression that they need the victory here. They are not going to be making any funky plays if they're not certain of the fact they can win with that strategy.
Nobody spawned on the far end, so Envy Taylor isn't able to get a quick swipe at somebody on the route through. Instead, the route seems, once again, slightly direct towards the site. They're going to see if there's anything stopping the immediate breach. No, the reveal of the drone will say, hey, they're coming for the immediate breach. Okay. And there's the roll there onto the EMP, but as I said before, there's nothing behind it.
It's going to be the breach. Question is, will smokes follow? Are they actually going to see if they can put some pressure down, or will they fall off? For now, it seems like they're not willing to stick through with it. So take control of the rest of the map. Arakaze and Good Boy playing closely around one another, trying to make sure that they can keep control, but Grizzly takes down Good Boy. That's the first of the Sandbox players. The second one gets spotted out. A bit of damage done to Envy Taylor. Nothing too massive, though. June, are you taking that top 4? He thinks maybe someone is trying to rotate up the Solarium stairs.
He's still trying to find some of the fervor he had a few rounds ago. Arakaze, he almost gets caught and clipped on the far end. There's more pressure coming from a Lion that just drifted by the window. He was able to slip into a position just before it read in, and Arakaze can tuck himself up. He has some safety, and he has the ability of time on his side. The problem is distance. He's on the far end of the site. They're putting all the pressure onto this. They're going to see if they can try and once again crack their way over blue, and Arakaze realizes that. He's going to drift closer and closer as Grizzly watches on the far end, keeps the man at bay, and goes for the 4-4 onto site.
This is an important drone. They need to make sure that they continue watching this, because if Arakaza reaches the mezzanines, it is going to be an opportunity for him to shut them down. It feels like they are aware. June just went up the library stairs. The C4 gets tossed out. As soon as that explodes, they will be aware of exactly what's happening. June needs to be ready to respond. It blows up. There you have it, instantly watching towards the mezzanines, towards the railing, wants to pick him up. Does so successfully as well, as MV Taylor goes down to 1 HP.
June, he's able to get another connection, another bit on a dot. MV Taylor, though, he is in a dangerous position. June has the pressure. Down onto blue. He gets swung into by Shile. He gets a great pick right up to the stair set. They're still prepped and ready to rock and roll with 40 seconds. Are they eyeing up a quick route through onto the site? It seems like Heroic's still cautious about the potential approach of someone on the back end. There is still the player around dining. Uno at least finds a route through, doesn't get caught out by anyone going for the direct fight, and there's Static going for a bit of a relocation. Do they know about the plant? Well, doesn't matter now. It's down, it's out of time, and it's a 3 versus 2. Sandbox hopes of pulling a single rounder on a single player. Static. Can he be the difference maker here? 30 seconds potentially remain of Sandbox's time out here in Sweden. They're going to look for the first fight. It's a bit scrappy and nobody really connects. It wastes time, and that's what Heroic needs. They've dropped themselves outside of the chalet door. 20 seconds, nothing else in pocket. Just an SMG for the connection. No dice. Sandbox failed to connect. Heroic do. They find a win, but as we said before, unfortunately for them, all it does is secure 3rd place here.
They know they have done what they needed to do for these last sets of the matchups. Now they will find out, and unfortunately for them, they have not qualified. I think the news is being told to them now by their analyst, pushing up, being like, no, it's over. The last came in. We still have that victory, but it is 3rd place.